I wish my wife Mary could be with me. I think you'd enjoy meeting her. We met in law school, and she was a judge in Minnesota at the state district court level for 13 years, and now works for a nonprofit called Children's Heartlink, and they do missions around the world to disadvantaged children who need life-saving heart surgeries. But like all of our spouses or significant others, she helps kind of keep me on track and seeing things clearly. And we're at my house. We live in the governor's residence part-time, but we have our regular house that we live in the rest of the week, and we were out in that house a while ago. And I was looking in the mirror after having been on the road a lot and not, keeping up very well with, my health. And I said, honey, look at me. I mean, look at my hairline is receding. I said, I'm getting crow's feet multiplying by the week. I'm on the road, and I've been eating McDonald's, and I'm getting flabby. I haven't been working out, and I got love handles sprouting over the side of my belt. I said, is there anything that you can tell me that would be positive, that would give me some encouragement? And she said, yeah, there's nothing wrong with your eyesight. That's just a little story about seeing things clearly, and I am pleased to be here with fellow supporters of our Republican team in Virginia and in Minnesota. We need to make sure that we see things clearly. We have a nation and our respective states that need improvement and they need help, but it starts with making sure we understand what we believe as values and principles, why we believe it, and then make sure we can be able to explain why it's a good idea for Virginia, for Minnesota, and the nation more broadly. So to all of the office holders and candidates here, thank you for serving. Thank you for running. We need good people who are going to step forward and be public servants to serve our fellow citizens. I know politics gets ridiculed sometimes for good reason, but the truth of the matter is we need good and decent, grounded people who are willing to step forward and run. And we see these fine candidates who are here today. Thank you for doing that. And I particularly want to speak to Bob McDonnell's candidacy for governor. I'm the vice chair of the Republican Governors Association. It's an organization that's committed, amongst other things, to trying to get Republican governors elected or re-elected. We're very excited about this race in Virginia, and we're grateful that Bob is running and Maureen is his partner in this endeavor. And we have an individual who understands some basic things that are really important to the future of this state and is a great leader. First of all, he understands that the main issue right now, of course, is the economy and jobs. And if you're going to ask the question, well, what can we do to increase the likelihood that jobs are going to grow and start and stay in places like Virginia and Minnesota, a good approach to that is to go ask the people who provide the jobs and see what's important to them, and then also see what they'd like to see in their candidates. And guess what? The leading organization in Virginia for entrepreneurs and for small businesses and for medium-sized businesses, the backbone of our economy, the engine of job growth, has said, we want Bob McDonnell to be the next governor of the state. And there are reasons for that. But one of these reasons include this, and I suspect it's the same reasons in this room. Do you think you're taxed enough? Yeah? Yeah, Bob believes that too. And do you think that we should have you being in charge of your health care and not the federal government? And do you think as we fund our schools and give money to our schools that we should not just plow more money into the system, but also ask them for better results?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Of course you do. So those are common sense things that you believe, that most Virginians believe, that most Minnesotans believe, but it takes leadership and courage to stand up and say, first of all, this is our these are our values, these are our principles, these are our ideas, and they're worth fighting for. And it'll make a huge positive difference for the future of this state. The number one quality of life determining factor for most people is whether they have access to a job, because it opens up the door to their ability to do lots of other things in life and live their dreams and create the kinds of opportunities for them and their family that they want to pursue. So job growth and creating a job environment and an economic environment is critically important. And we have individuals here and in Washington who support things that are job killers. And so you cannot be pro-job and anti-small business. I mean, that's like being pro-egg and anti-chicken. It doesn't work. Bob McDonnell understands that. He has the support of the small business community and the entrepreneur community. So we need to be about the business of doing things that will increase the likelihood that jobs will grow in this state. There's a cost basket of things that includes taxes and insurance and regulation and bureaucracy and energy costs that have to be competitive and reasonable. Bob is committed to do that. We have to have a workforce that is productive and creative and inventive and innovative and collaborative. And that goes right to the heart of an improved education system, and he is fully focused on reforming education system, not just funding it, but also demanding accountability for better results. He also understands that energy policy is critical to our economy and our security, and he wants to move in a direction, but it has to be in a direction for new and different forms of energy that make economic sense. We can't wreck the economy under the guise of trying to transform our energy policy. Now, those things need to be reconciled in a positive and constructive way moving forward. And then lastly, you can't do things like take away people's right to vote whether they want to stay in a union or start a union or not. There's something called card check that folks on the other side of the aisle support. Now, this is a bad idea. We have as a value in our country that if we're going to vote, you get to vote in private. And we don't allow people to see our ballots and pressure us and cajole us and intimidate us into filling out a ballot in a particular way. And so that's a basic American value. And Bob McDonnell understands that, and he opposes the card check, but people on the other side of the aisle support it. And it's a job killer in terms of the spirit of the employees and also the obligation for employers and job providers to compete fairly in the arena of whether they're going to keep a union, not have a union, start a union, and all those related issues. And then very lastly, we need to make sure that this health care issue that is in Washington but has a cascading effects in the state is stopped as proposed. If you don't think it matters that what they're doing in Washington State, it matters a lot, believe me. Amongst many examples, you got a federal government that is poised to do an unfunded mandate onto the states. First of all, get out of our hair. You already cost us a lot of money at the state level, but they want to mandate another batch of requirements that are unfunded and bust our budget even further. So, you know, there's a need to reform the healthcare system in this country, but it should not be around the notion of the federal government doing it. It should be around the notion of us as consumers, as individuals and families being empowered to make those decisions and what's right for us in a marketplace. So thank you for coming this afternoon, and I'll just close with one story about Michael Jordan. You'll remember him, at least the middle-aged and older people in the room will remember him, as perhaps the greatest basketball player to ever play the game, although I said that recently in Cleveland and got booed because I was about LeBron James being the greatest basketball player. But in any event, one night not long ago in Chicago, Michael Jordan scored 56 points by himself in a basketball game, and the coach recognized this as a remarkable performance, pulled him out of the game with a minute left to go so he could get an ovation from the hometown crowd, and they gave him one, and deservedly so. But into the game goes a rookie who's never played before. And with just seconds left on the clock in the NBA, he got the ball, and he didn't make the basket, but he got fouled and got to go to the free throw line. He made one shot, so he got 1 point. The game ends, the buzzer goes off, everybody goes into the locker room, and the press is understandably hovering around Michael Jordan and his spectacular 56-point performance, and one enterprising reporter drifts off over to this rookie and says, you know, this is your first NBA experience. What does it mean to you? What should we take from it? And he looked up with a smile and he said, you know, I think tonight should be forever remembered as the night that Michael Jordan and I together scored 57 goals. You have it, Bob McDonnell, Michael Jordan. But he cannot do it alone. And the team needs you. And so all of these calls that are being made here, all of the mail that goes out, all of the emails that are submitted, all of the text messaging, all of the social networking, all of the talking at the water cooler, all of the talking to neighbors, it all matters. I come from a state where we just elected Al Franken to the United States Senate by 312 votes.
So cold.
Yeah, 312 votes. So we do not want to leave anything on the field. Let's make sure we give it our best effort, finish strong. There are 54 days left to go. And while Bob can give the voice to the ideas and values and principles that are important to the future of this state, the heart and soul and energy and work is with you.